Hello, this is MarcSerre. I'm teaching ENVR 468 at UNC, and today we're going to go over ArcGIS Understanding Coordinate System. What you need to do is download the MapProjections zip file, expand it. It's going to create a folder here, start ArcGIS, and then we can follow the instructions. We'll start with the unknown coordinate system exercise. So what we're going to do here is start a new project. And we're looking at the 4 shapefile that we have here: streets, parcel, hydrants. And what we're going to do is first look at the projection that's given by the base map. It's a Mercator projection that you can see when you click on the coordinate system. What's useful is to always set the display unit to be the same as the map units. And what you can see is that a projected coordinate system, in this case, for example, has about 10 million or 11 million units west and 2.2 unit north. This is typical of a projected coordinate system. So let's get started. We're going to create a new map. And this map, we're going to right click on it and set its coordinate to be, I've put it under my favorite, NAD 83. Once that is in NAD 83, we can see the projection is slightly different. And what we're now going to do is uncheck the base maps, and we'll get started. We're going to take our street shapefile. And when we take that shapefile and bring it to our project, we see that we get a warning: unknown coordinate system. So that's what is happening when you put a shapefile with an unknown coordinate system. I right-click to zoom to layer and move the mouse. I see that the units are within the range of degrees. So this is probably a shapefile in degrees. We don't know under what datum. Next, we're going to bring the parcel shapefile. When we bring that parcel shapefile, what we can see is that there is no warning. So this does have a coordinate system defined. It's actually a NAD 83. And if I zoom to that layer, I can see a misalignment between the streets and the parcels. The street should run on the left side of the parcel, and we see that there is a misalignment. In fact, if we wanted to measure this misalignment, we could use the measure tool. And if I measure from the left side where the street should be to where it actually is, I find about a couple hundred feet difference. So what have we learned is that if you have 2 datums that do not correspond to one another, it could be up to 200 feet. And what is happening here is that one of them is in NAD 27, the other one is in NAD 83, and a couple hundred feet is what the misalignment is between those 2 datums. Next, what is happening if we put another shapefile that I'm bringing here that also does not have a coordinate system defined, and that I zoom into? And what I see here is that the values that I have are much greater, about 485,000 units east and about 3.7 million units north. And that is a projected coordinate system. So what have we learned here? What we have learned is that if you mix a projected and geographic coordinate system, then the misalignment is so large that they don't even show up on the same map. So that's the first exercise where we have learned what happened when you have layers that or shapefile that you put in that do not have a known coordinate system. Next, what we're going to do is assign coordinate system. So to do that, I'm going to insert a new map. And I'm going to set this map in NAD 27. And then I'm going to start with the first shapefile of interest. And what's good for this is to open a catalog pane. So I'm bringing catalog pane. That allows me to browse through folder. And then I right click on folder and I'm going to add a new folder connection. So I can connect to the folder map projection that holds all the shapefile I'm interested in. And if I expand this now, I can see hydrants, parcel, and street, the 3 shapefile that I have in my folder here. And what we're going to do is use street, right click on it, copy, go to map projection, and paste it. That creates a new shapefile that I see listed here. And then what I'm further going to do is change the name of that new shapefile to just be streets. And when I do this, I can see that it changes the name here. And this shapefile has 6 or 5 files, but it's missing the projection file. So how do we create a projection file? You go under Analysis, Tools, and search for Define Projections. The top, Define Projections. And then you select that one. And what we now need to do is bring the street file onto our map. Once it's onto our map, we can go back to our tool. And now we're going to see that it can be selected as input. And now all we need to do is say that we want it to be assigned a NAD 27 coordinate system. And when I run this, watch here, it's going to create a projection file. And if I want to see that projection file, I can edit it in, open it with WordPad. And what I can see is that we created a new file that now has the coordinate system defined for that layer. So now this is a proper layer with a proper coordinate system. And congratulations, you have assigned a coordinate system to the streets layer. Let us now move on to the other layer, which is the hydrant layer. So for that layer, what I'm going to do is do a little bit of detective work to try to see what is its coordinate system. If I click on map 1 and move the mouse, I see the hydrants have coordinates of about 485,000 units east and 3.7 million units north. So I go to map 2, and then I'm going to uncheck the base map, zoom to street. And when I move my mouse, what I see are coordinates if you're projecting NAD 27. And I'm going to try other coordinates to see if I can find one that matches that of the coordinates for hydrants. And doing a little bit of detective work, one that's proposed to me is the state plane coordinate system. So I suggest you always start when you don't know what the projected coordinate system is with a state plane. If you know the region where you're working, for example, we know we are in California 5 region, you would select the corresponding state plane coordinate system. And once it's selected, remember that you always want to go to general and then change the display units so it matches that of the map unit. And when you do this, you can move your mouse and you can see that the streets, if projected in state plane California 5 projected coordinate system, would have coordinates of about 2.5 million units east and 180,000 units north. And that does not correspond with our hydrants. So this is not the correct projected coordinate system. So you do a bit more detective work and you find that somebody else says maybe what they used was the WGS UTM zone 11N projection. So you go to map 2 and change the coordinate system to this new suggested coordinate system. I have it saved under my favorite. You can find it yourself. And once you select it, remember that you need to go under the general and change the display unit to meters so it matches that of the map unit. And when you do this, you move your mouse and bingo, you found the correct location, because the location of the streets here are at coordinates of about 485,000 unit east and 3.7 million unit north, which matches that of the unprojected hydrant. So now all what we need to do is click on hydrant, copy, and paste it to create a new layer that will rename simply hydrants. And once we do that, that creates a hydrants layer that does not have the projection. So I can see that layer here. And then I go back to my tool where hydrants is not listed. So what I realize is that I first need to take hydrants, put it on to my map. And then I go to my geoprocessing tool, and I can now select hydrants as the input. And I say I want to assign it the UTM zone 11N coordinate. And when I run this, I can see up here that it created the project. To finish this off, I'm going to turn the topo map on. I'm going to go to map to change its coordinate system to NAD 87. And then I'm going to go to map 1, take the parcel and copy it, take the parcel and make sure I copy it properly, and then go to map 2 and paste that layer. I'm going to zoom to the full extent of the earth, and I'm going to put the parcel down below. And now I'm done with my second exercise, where I have all 3 layers with a coordinate system defined. So if you want to look at those, you go to the coordinates and you look under layers, and you can see that NAD 83 is what is the coordinate system for parcels, but that UTM is the coordinate system for hydrant, and that streets, NAD 27 is the coordinate system for streets. So we are all set with having assigned coordinate system. And now we can go to the third and last exercise, which is to define projections. So I'm going to turn off hydrants. I'm going to turn off the base maps. And then I'm going to go to maps, and I'm going to go to transformation. So we're going to learn how transformation works. For that, we're going to start by setting them to none to see what happens if you do not have any transformation. And in that case, I'm going to zoom onto parcels. And what I can see is the misalignment between 2 layers, one that is street and one that is parcel, that have a datum of NAD 27 and NAD 83 respectively. If you do not define any transformation, then ArcGIS will not on the fly transform the datum to the display datum, and therefore they'll be misaligned. So what should happen is that we want to display everything in NAD 27, but there are no transformation defined. So to correct the issue here, what we want is define a transformation for NAD 83, which is what the parcels are in, to NAD 27. And when we select those, we take the top one, which is a good one. It's a NatCon transformation. And when you get a good transformation, they now are on the fly transformed and displayed into the frame coordinate system. So we've learned that if you define a good transformation between NAD 27 and NAD 83, then they are properly aligned. We are now going to move on to the hydrants. If we display them, we see that they are misaligned. You can see that they're about 200 feet misaligned with the parcel and streets. And for that, what we're now going to do is define a transformation. So we have no transformation between WGS 84, which is what the hydrants are in, and then NAD 27, which is what the frame is in. And what we're going to do is select the first choice. That is version 3. It's an old version of transformation. The calculation is a bit approximate. And when you do this, we see a better realignment, which is good. However, we can see that the hydrants still do not fall into the parcel. What did we learn is that if you use a transformation, but it's an old version, then you reduce the misalignment, but there is still a few feet of errors. And then finally, what we're going to do is take a transformation that is better. So we're going to take the second transformation. So if you click move on top, the second transformation is a good one. It's a NatCon transformation. And when you click on OK, then what you can see is that the hydrants are located inside the parcel. If you want to see this, what you can do is just zoom here, and you can see that the hydrant is inside the parcel. And that concludes our 3 exercise. Thank you.